Hey guys, welcome back. Got a new batch of shirts in today. This is one of the ones that's selling really good right now, but that's not what today's video is about. What we're going to be talking about today is this locomotive. This is a Lionel 247. I believe this is a Baltimore and Ohio. Yes, Baltimore and Ohio, if you can see that, unless it's too dark. So I picked this up at the last train show. It actually came in a box of American Flyer parts. I mean, the American Flyer parts were kind of cool to have, but didn't have a really use for them. But this thing was kind of cool to find in that box, along with some other stuff, but I'm going to save those for other videos. So this one in particular, haven't tried it out yet. It looks complete. Everything's there. The rollers look good. Still has its E-unit in there. But this one, these Scouts, they have smoke units in them. And I've seen a couple of these in action, and I think they work really well. So I'm hoping today that this parts box Lionel find is going to work for us. So let's put it on the bench and see what we got right now. All right, so we got our Lionel 247 Scout on the bench on our test track right now. Now, as you guys who have been with me for a while know, I usually take these apart first, give them a once-over before I apply power to them, but I know the guy that this box of parts came from, so I'm pretty confident that there's no funny business going on in this motor. So just for effect, let's hook up its tender as well and give this thing a test run. So there we go. Transformer's hooked up. Get some power going, and let's see if this does anything. We got sort of a reverse, a little bit janky, and oh, we do have smoke though. So if I hit the direction, the E-unit doesn't turn over. There it goes. Forward seems to be okay. But backwards is this kind of jerky motion. We know what we have to address with this locomotive, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of you guys that have this locomotive or have come across it, because I know it is a super popular one. So let's take this apart, see what we got, see what's going on inside, and if we can get this 247 Scout to run smoothly forwards and backwards. Let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start with is getting this shell off. And it looks like, well, I've got a screw up here that has to come out. And underneath, it might be these two screws for the weight. Maybe we can, oh, those are rivets, so they're not going to come out anyways. All right, so let's start with the slot screw in the top here. Get that out and get my little magnetic tray tracks. Yeah, that's the back there free. I'm pretty sure if we take these two out, we will be good to go. I know my son's going to have a lot of fun with this locomotive if we can get it running right. Oh, look at that. So, this has a weight in the back. Quite a large one. And it's got a weighted front. There's a weight right here as well. So this is actually pretty heavy. All right, so right off the bat, Nothing's bare. There's no bare wires. There's some funky cement going on there. Nothing's broken on this side. Let's get this thing right out of the way. There we go. There's the plunger. And that's riveted on. The smoke unit, there's one screw there that's holding it. And that's all that's holding it. But right now the wires all look pretty good. Someone's bound that up right there. I'm wondering if maybe that has something to do with why this E-unit isn't working. Because there's really not a lot else going on there. All right. So we started off by, come on, this is stuck here. So we started off by visually inspecting the wires. None of them are broken. None of the insulation is cracked to expose any bare wires, so it's not shorting out on anything. So that's a good start. Next thing is, of course, we're going to take the brush plate off, and we're going to have a look at that. Let's get these parts off here. I'm also going to take these arms off the wheels just so we don't bend them. So let's take care of that right now. All right, those are out of the way. And looking at the gears right off the bat, I could see this thing is bone dry. So it doesn't have a lot of lubrication on it. The pickup feet are in good shape. Just as usual, there's a lot of carpet fiber, animal hair, stuff from years and years and years of play. And there's the grounding wire, I guess, for the smoke unit. So we are going to take off the brush plate. That's what we're doing. So let's get that wire out of the way. Get my adjustable in there and take these nuts off. That's right, I still don't have a nut driver set. Still can't spend the money on something that I can just use a wrench on. I'm sure we're going to see a whole lot of carbon. Oh yeah. So that's pretty dirty. That armature needs a little bit of attention. That's what it looks like. Thick black powder all over it. And I can see right now that these little grooves here, these here, they're quite gummed up as well. So first things first, let's get our green Scotch pad and take care of that. So I'm just going to kind of hold this motor in place and just kind of work this around. Again, don't need any cleaner. No contact cleaner or anything like that. You can just use it dry. All right, so now I'm going to get my toothpicks and we're going to clean out those grooves. And if you have an air gun, great. If you don't, just do something like that. Okay, so we have the 247's motor all back together, but we still have the problem, which is this E-unit. And to show you exactly what's happening here, this E-unit, this piece of the lever is supposed to make contact with this spot on the coil, and that will allow you to control the direction of the train using the transformer's direction control. However, on these styles of E-unit, this handle gets really loose. You can see there's a lot of slack there, and it doesn't lock in place nicely. Now, as a comparison, I have this 3-position E-unit, and it actually is tight and snaps into place and will hold its position while the train's running. The vibration won't affect it and knock it loose. This is a much better design. It has this rivet here that is pinned around this washer, which sandwiches everything together onto this part of the frame of the E-unit. These are a great design. This one is excellent. This one is not. This happens a lot with this style of E-unit. So what we have to do, and what the previous owner did, was to force these two together so that they don't come apart while the train is operating. So what the previous owner did was wrapped a piece of wire around this, and that was supposed to hold it together, but it didn't work very well either. Now I've tried shimming underneath the lever here to try to tilt the top piece down so that it'll make contact. That works for a little bit. It's not a permanent fix either. And you can't peen this pin down to tighten the whole thing anymore, just because of the way it is. Oh, I should also mention, I did try to JB weld these two together. The JB weld does allow for electricity to flow through this, but not well enough. It did actually affect, it affected the coil so that the signal or whatever, the electricity juice flowing through this wasn't strong enough to move this plunger. So I've come up with this other fix. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this piece of copper wire and I'm going to kind of make a bit of a spring that I'm going to insert in between this piece, the top part of the lever, and the contact on the coil. That's going to take up all the slack, and it's going to create some tension to hold the lever in place and allow the train to operate. So what I found is a perfect diameter for this is the higher part of the shaft of this awl. So all I'm going to do is wrap this around. So just like this, we've got 3 wraps around there. And then we're going to set this in place. It might need to be a little bit tighter here, which is not a big deal. We'll just move it farther down, just like so. There we go. So this little spring coil here is going to take up all the slack in here, and since it's copper, it's going to allow for a nice connection between the top half of the lever and the coil. So I'm just going to grab some wire snippers so I can cut off this excess. And I'm going to keep this length at the bottom, and I'll show you why. Because this is going to help really secure this part down. This is hollow right the way through, so I'm going to insert this piece right like that. And then, because it's pliable, just kind of adjust the position of this coil a little bit. And then I can bring the lever back over. So we'll get a side view here so you can see better what's happening. You can see how much slack there is. So there we go. So now the lever is making a contact. The lever is making a contact through the copper coil. And by having that little spiral, there's a little indent on the bottom of this lever that sits perfectly in there and helps to hold it in place. And the reason we kept this tail is to further help that. So we're going to bring it around. And we're going to kind of push it into the indent on the top. And that's almost acting like a little bit of a lock. We'll cut the excess off. And now it holds it firm. So this now isn't going to go anywhere. And it's going to work. So, like I said, you can see that there is so much play in between this top piece and the frame of the E-unit. It's just the way they were. It's a poor design. I mean, these were the top of the bottom. These were the cheap ones. These trains were the cheap ones. They got some cheap mechanisms on them. They do have really, really cool smoke chambers though. So let's throw this on the track and see if we actually did fix it. Okay, I got my test track set up. I'm just going to go ahead and plug in my transformer. And there we go. Make sure its power is off. Now let's put this motor on the track and see what we get. So we got reverse, and we got forward. Perfect. And very, very smooth. So there it is, a very simple, quick repair for a loose two-position E-unit. Just coiling around that copper wire, inserting it in, creating this little hook piece over the top to lock the whole thing down, and you are ready to go. One more thing I do want to mention about this particular E-unit. There's some of you that are probably just rolling your eyes thinking he just could have soldered this all together. No, it wouldn't work. And the reason it wouldn't work is because this piece here is plastic. And it's a very soft plastic. I've tried to solder these parts before on this type of E-unit, and this just melts. As soon as you put the heat to it to try to solder that wire, this bit is just going to turn to goo. I realize it's been done from the factory. I don't know how the factory would have done it. I don't know, maybe they have a lower temperature soldering iron than I do. Not sure. But all I know is I can't get the soldering to work, so I don't go that way. And besides, you can't really solder this lever to this piece here. That doesn't work either. Just wanted to mention that quickly. Now that we know that and we have it all fixed up, I'm going to put the shell back on, put the driver arms all back together, and we can throw this on the track and watch it run around. So let's do that now. I also want to mention too, when you're putting this top screw back into this shell, be very, very careful. Do not over tighten this. It will crack it almost instantly. Guaranteed. I've seen more of these shells split because of that screw. These shells are just, the plastic's not that strong. They're not very thick. They don't take a lot of punishment, as you can tell by the whole front chunk that's missing. Okay, so there we have it all back together, ready to hit the tracks again. Just want to make sure we go over, and actually, before we throw it on the tracks, here's something that I can reach out to you guys for. So obviously there's a whole front section missing of this, but what I was wondering was, should I just leave it this way because of what it is, or maybe I should try to scratch build a front, something a little bit fancier. I don't know. Maybe you guys can drop it in the comments and let me know what you think, and I can check those later and go from there. But for now, we have the 247 all back together. The E-unit is all fixed up and ready to go. So let's put her on the track and send her around. All right, so we have the 247 all back together. We've got the shell put on and it's nicely cleaned up. Once again, just a little bit of palm olive and a scrub brush brought that right back around and did not remove any of the blue from the side. That was already removed. And we got its original tender with it right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply some power to this. We're going to hook up some cars to it, and we'll allow it to do some laps. So let's get the power going to it now and send her around. So that is the 247 from a parts box. Got with a bunch of American flyers. Checked it out, brought it back to life, made a nice repair to that E unit, and she's flying around the track just fine. So I'm really happy with this locomotive. I don't know what I'm going to do with it just yet. Am I going to hang on to it? Maybe sell it to one of you guys? Or maybe I'll do something still and fix that front end. So don't forget to, drop your comments about what you think I should do with this locomotive. I mean, it's a fun little train. It's a good puller for its size. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to do all the YouTube stuff if you haven't. Subscribe, hit the like bell, the notification, yada, yada, yada. Drop some comments, just say hi, and we'll see you on the next video. Ciao for now.